But yeah, or we might say something controversial about Man United.
Yeah, let's start by doing that. Get that out of the way, and then we can warm up with doing that.
So, do you think that the content is gonna be better if we play at the same time, or should we just speak, or like, what do you think?
I think we can just like record it, like have a conversation, and it doesn't have to be like super long, but
Okay.
you just record it, and I can share it with you afterwards, so we can see if it's good enough, to
Yeah.
publish it. And
Okay.
I think either way, it's gonna be like nice to have on the channel, maybe to look
Yeah.
back on, like in a couple of years. Like, I mean, why not?
Okay, let's do a full analysis of the states of the games.
Yeah.
Like an honest review. So let me know when you're start, and you can ask me questions about the beta, and we can start from there. And then
I started recording already, so I can just chop it up afterwards if we need that. Okay. But I think we have a good start already. I mean, I was thinking about this when I recorded a video earlier today while I was doing the web app thing, and I was thinking I'm probably gonna alternate between playing Ultimate Team and playing Seasons, because I feel like playing Seasons, it's a nice break from Ultimate Team, but it's also nice, even though I don't like Ultimate Team that much compared to Seasons, I think it's nice to do like once in a while, because it is a little bit fun to get these special cards and to open packs, especially when you're not paying anything for it, it's like a bonus almost. But
yeah, that's what you did in FIFA 23. So
yeah,
you were alternating.
Yeah. At least that was that's my plan, because eventually you play Seasons a lot, and you get to a point, at least I did, where you basically win Division 1 every single time, almost regardless of which team you use. And it becomes a little bit stale, so it's nice to like get into foot and get your ass beaten by these 12-year-olds, and then come back to Seasons again, feeling fresh.
Yeah, I think that yeah, like, and obviously a lot of your tactical videos, they're gonna be very interesting, because now it's a new game, new lineups, new teams. For example, one of the teams that come to my mind is Marseille. They've changed most of their starting 11. So, even if you did a video in FIFA 23, a new video would be very interesting.
Yeah.
And also what you can do is in the foot mode, you could, I think you did that a few times, but you can review players, review play styles that are considered meta or things like that.
Because I did like a couple of reviews that I posted on TikTok, and one of them actually got quite a high number of views. Got like 7,000 views, which is almost like 5 times the normal amount I got there. Because people want to know which cards to use themselves. They're not that interested in watching other people play, unless you are like really entertaining or you are like one of these top streamers already. I think they just want to know like quickly, like what's the impression this guy has of them. This guy is not a pro player, so it's interesting to get his perspective, like, because a lot of these like top reviewers, they are really good at the game, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
they
that's
can
a
play
very good book.
Yeah, they can play very good with any card basically. So that's like the perspective I think I can add a little bit of value.
Yeah, and also, like, I think that when people go on YouTube and try, like, amateur, like casual FIFA players that go on YouTube and they watch the pros playing and they're trying to do the same moves, it's not gonna work. It's because the pros have sacrificed a considerable amount of time because that's their profession, while we do other stuff in our lives and then go and play FIFA for a few hours. So you cannot try to play this way. It's gonna be hard if you're a casual. It's like with time finishing. If you're a casual player, does it worth to spend all that time to get a few more wins? Because with pros, they're playing in these professional tournaments. They need to win. They need to advance in knockout games.
Yeah.
With us, it's like, okay, if we look, for me, example, I only play seasons. Okay, what's the worst case scenario? I don't win the Division 1 title that season. I win it the next season. It's like, I get that, it's an improvement, but it's like, I don't think that that's the mindset that someone should have to enjoy the game after a point. Just try to play how you feel more comfortably, and don't necessarily try to cop out to copy the pros.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think it is because you might think that learning that skill is gonna pay off in some kind of way, but you're only gonna become like a little bit better. And what does it mean? Like maybe 1 or 2 extra wins in weekend league, okay? Does that actually mean anything unless you actually are trying to go pro? You know what I mean? Because if you go pro, you have to do timed finishing and all this stuff, because you're gonna have a huge disadvantage if you don't do it. Everyone else is doing it at the pro stage, so it's kind of like you just have to be able to do it. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to compete. But I think like casuals, of course, you can get like a reward upgrade by playing weekend league and winning a couple more games, but it's only like maybe you get 1 extra pack or something, and you spend a lot of time, a lot of. I don't think the payoff is like worth it. But of course, that's individual. People can disagree on that, but.
Yeah, and I think that this is the case not only in FIFA, but it was in PES. I'm not sure about eFootball because I don't play it. But in PES, I remember the thing that I improved to be able to reach Division 1 at the end was not my dribbling skills or my shooting skills or stuff like that. As a casual gamer, I tried to mentally improve, to be more patient in my defense, to be more controlled in my one-on-ones instead of getting anxious and shooting first time or something like that. So I think that those are mental improvements that you can improve, and you don't need to be a pro. You just like try to control your nerves. For example, when you concede a city goal, how do you respond from that? I used when I started, not started, but in my earlier past days, I used to be very annoyed, and then I would concede another goal, or I would miss a chance up front because I was annoyed from the previous play. And this happens in FIFA a lot of times, right? Like you concede a goal from your mistake, and then your whole game is ruined. Whereas we know well that 1 goal is nothing in FIFA. You can concede 1 goal in 85th minute and then score 3.
Yeah, it's a mindset thing, You have to, but it also comes with experience. Like once you realize that, you will be able to change your like perspective on it. But I think you're absolutely right that a lot of like casuals that maybe don't play the game all that much, maybe they try to play a little bit, like very casually, And especially if you head into Ultimate Team playing very casually and only like once in a while, and you're expecting to get results, you're gonna have a bad time either way, and it's gonna be you're jumping into the game with the expectation of actually doing well, and then you start doing mistakes and you get your ass handed to you. It's gonna be like double negative, and it's just gonna be like a bad experience. Unless you have like the mindset of it being a temporary thing, if you know what I mean. That like one goal you can overcome it, 2 goals you can overcome it. Just let the game.
Another tip that I could give from my experience in playing these football games, and like in FIFA, okay, we ain't that great, but I think in PES, I think we were good. Another thing is that a lot of people do not realize, and I remember when you started playing PES, you didn't realize that, and when you would do the live streams and we would chat, you started realizing that, and you became a lot of a better player. Was that when you play PES or FIFA or eFootball, it's not like real life football where it's 2 teams competing with each other. The difference is there are 2 players competing with each other, but there's also the game that that acts like the intermediate, So you need to learn how the game reacts, right? So what I'm trying to say is, you remember when you started playing PES and you didn't know about the script and the kickoff glitch and all these things that are relevant to the game, not the opponent. The opponent might be good, might be bad, but the game sometimes acts in certain ways. For example, if you in FIFA, if you miss the chance, then the momentum goes to the other player, right? So when you learn this stuff, then you can improve to the game without actually improving your game style. It's a mental thing. You know that, okay, I missed a huge chance, so now I need to be more cautious and more patient in defense because the opponent's gonna have the momentum, right? So things like that, like those, I think that are easier for a casual gamer to improve on, instead of trying to do like these pro dribbles they were watching the Indominator in PES and were trying to do his dribble. They're not going to work. Even if they work a few times, you're not going to be able to be consistent. But if you improve your mindset, I promise you can be way more consistent as a casual gamer, and play the other, because again, you're going to be playing against casual gamers who do not have the same patience and the same mental strength. So if you keep yours, that's an advantage over there without dribbling.
I think it's important, like, to build on what you're saying right now. You have to commit like enough time to learn to play the game your way and adjust it to like gameplay mechanics are what they are. They're part of the game, and you might feel like maybe it's a bit unfair, maybe it's working against only you. You have that feeling sometimes, but it's affecting everyone. You just have to learn how the game works. Try to like learn your own playstyle, develop your own playstyle, and having fun. I mean, it's easy to say that you should have fun while playing the game, but a lot of people only think results. That if I win this amount of matches, I'm gonna be considered this and this good. And it's such a grind and such a sweat, and it's no fun at all, but I got the wins. And you have to like realize that, is that really the purpose of playing the game? Right? It's like you're playing to have fun. You win the amount of matches you win. It doesn't matter. You're not a pro player. It doesn't matter if you win 16 or 12 or 8 in weekend league, or if you're stuck in Division 3 in seasons. If you're having fun and enjoying the way you play. And if you face someone really good, a lot of people just choose to rage quit, and that's fine. But it's also like that mental, I think it takes a little bit like mental strength almost to have like the ability to rage quit, to give up You know what I mean? To recognize an opponent that you're not able to beat him actually, and you should probably just rage quit and get it over with. But there's a lot of people who don't have that, like self-awareness of being an inferior player.
On that point, I think a lot of players, and they might be younger than us, that might explain this mentality. But as you said, they want to win at any cost. And what happens is that I saw that in PES, in eFootball, on FIFA, it's everywhere, right? They try to win by using the glitches, the meta formations, the in seasons it was like only playing with Bayern or France or PSG, the top teams. So what happens is that because these games change over time, they don't change a lot, especially FIFA, but they do change, right? It's not the same gameplay in FIFA 23 with FIFA 19. It's different.
Yeah.
Some moves were OP in 19, some other moves are OP in 23, some other glitches exist. So what happens is that these players might have been playing FIFA for like, let's say 5-6 years, but they don't have the fundamentals of the game because they don't try to play their style and try to improve their style of playing. They try to capitalize on these years, additions, glitches, and meta formations and OP teams, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a big difference because if you learn how to play and improve your own gameplay without trying to base your wins on glitches and this stuff, then you're gonna be good in every FIFA because okay, some moves might change, the game might be a little bit slower, but it's going to be the same game. So if you're playing passing style, it's the same game. If you play counter attacks, it's the same, but you need to establish your own game style. And if you lose, you lose. It's fine. But at one point, you're going to improve, even with the losses. And I saw that, both in FIFA. In FIFA, I started my first online FIFA because I played FIFA 98 or FIFA 99 like 25 years ago. But my first FIFA was FIFA 22, right after PES server was done, and I tried eFootball and I didn't like it. My first ever FIFA was FIFA 22. Obviously, my first games were not that great, right? I was losing more than winning. The transition from PES was hard. I was used on winning a lot in PES, and then on FIFA, like losing wasn't easy when you win a lot, when you're used to win a lot. But I said, okay, you know something? Let me see how I can play with my own preference of style of preference in FIFA, right? And this might take like 50 games, 100 games. It's fine, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna find my own style that I can accommodate, that I can be good at. And I think that's the most valuable lesson here. Like, you shouldn't only look for short-term results. You should look at the bigger picture. Okay, you might do these meta moves and these OP moves and meta formations in FIFA 23, but then in EA 24, things have changed, and you need to relearn. But if you have like the way you play in FIFA 23, you have a very specific style of play. You play the same way whether you're playing with a 2.5-star team or in your foot team, right? You play the exact same way. You try to pass the ball around. You try to do the exact same moves. And this is because you're gonna continue playing this way in EA 24. So you don't need to relearn anything new.
Yeah.
And this gives you an advantage, right?
Yeah, I mean, adjustments are going to be made if the playstyle isn't effective anymore. If I start playing EAFC or some other game and I notice that the way I want to play doesn't work, I will do adjustments. But I think also one thing I thought about right now while we were talking about this like why certain players only play glitches and stuff like that. I actually think since a lot of the player base on FIFA are so young, and they don't have like a connection to 90s type of football, like 2000s type of football, like we have. We've seen a totally another type of football that is being played right now in real life. It's so much different from how it was like 25 years ago. And I think having that perspective, like new players, like 12-year-olds coming onto the game, they don't have any perspective at all on tactics. They don't know anything about how to actually create space and stuff like that in real life football. But they learn how to play the game as a game, where the objective is to score a goal. And if that means that they're doing like rainbow flick-ups and volley shots from 30 meters, exploiting a glitch, they don't care because they scored a goal. It's part of the game. And the objective is not to play nice football or anything, you know. That's like that's almost like a personal preference if you actually decide to play good football or not while playing the game. But I think that is one of the reasons, and that could also apply to older people that might not see a football match the same way we do, with the movement and the formations and everything. I guess, I mean, there are people that don't understand math. It could be that some people also don't understand like football, like the placement and stuff. I don't know, but that's like a theory I have. Although most people actually try to play decent football. And I'm not saying that there is like a overflow of like bad football theory amongst FIFA players, but I'm gonna guess like there's a good chunk of players that are not that used to like football as a science or call it whatever. Like especially with the influx of American players, also with the rising popularity of football in the US. Like nothing against football in the US and Americans watching football, but they have a very different take on the things from what I've been seeing on streams online. The way they present the matches and present everything there is very different from traditional European and Latin American way of presenting stuff. So
I agree, and I'm gonna tweet a little bit your argument. It's also the fact that most of us, I don't remember when you started playing football games, but I know that me and Darko and Tomislav have been playing PES, and some of us, you know, a few of the older FIFAs back when they started without online modes, just offline. Just picking up your favorite team, playing Master League, trying to build it up. And what do I mean? Why is that important? Because when you were playing offline, obviously, you didn't care that much about winning, right? Because worst case scenario, you could reload the game or you could quit. You know, it's like it's against the AI. Who cares?
Yeah.
So the biggest point was that you would actually play nice football. If you weren't playing nice football, you wouldn't be enjoying the game, even if you were winning against the computer, right? The AI.
Yeah.
So after all these years of doing that, I think that our generation kind of cares less about the result, and we care a little bit more about playing nice football. Because, and I've seen that in a lot of your uploaded games, especially when you did the MLS series, and some of the teams sucked, and you didn't like how they played, and you would win the game. I remember a lot of games you would win the game with these MLS teams, but you didn't enjoy it. And afterwards, you were like, I didn't enjoy that. That was terrible. Yeah, we won, but you know, I didn't enjoy that, etc. So that's another aspect to it. Like, yeah, okay, I didn't enjoy winning with a kickoff glitch in PES. Maybe sometimes I would try to do that if the game, was like very important and the opponent was very difficult. But I wouldn't count that to be my basis of winning, if that makes sense. But or else it's not like I can play something else, right? I don't need to play a football game if I don't play nice football, right? I can play another game.
Yeah.
So do you wanna talk about the upcoming games?
Yeah, we can shift towards, because I think there are two things that is interesting to talk about in EAFC in regards to seasons. And the first thing, obviously, is the gameplay. You tried the beta, and we can talk a little bit about like the gameplay stuff that you noticed are different. And then I have some questions about things I'm wondering. And I also want to talk about like specific teams that might be interesting to try out. Also, I have like a theory about like last year we didn't want to play with PSG because, no, we didn't want to play with 5-star teams because of PSG. But now the dynamic is a little bit different because PSG isn't PSG anymore, if you know what I mean. So 5-star teams might be a little bit more playable. However, with the influx of these like Saudi Arabian, probably 4-star teams, maybe 4-star team range is gonna be like the new unplayable range, if you know what I mean, because of these monster attacks you're gonna have with Al Nasser, you're gonna have with Al Hilal. So you're basically gonna have like 4 or 5 PSGs, but 4-star. I think, at least.
Yeah.
But it remains to be seen, because we actually need to get the game and log in and see which teams are in which ranges, and we have to do like an evaluation of the specific squads, if there are actually any teams that can defend against these Saudi teams.
Yeah. So I played the PS4 beta, and I would say the gameplay is overall slower. It reminds more of PS5. The attacks are slower. The players seem, on their movement, they seem a little bit more realistic and less skatey.
Okay.
As some people blame FIFA for that. So that's a good thing. I think they're very similar games. Like if you have played only let's say 10 FIFA games, right? 10 games in FIFA 23, and you only played 10 games in EAFC 24, you're not gonna notice the differences, because essentially it's the same gameplay, same style. It's an arcade game.
It's on old gen as well. It's PS4. Right?
Yeah, it's all gen. So, but if you have played a lot of games in FIFA 23 like we did, and then I played 90 games in the beta version in online seasons, I saw a few differences that I would, for example, it's slower. The goalkeepers seem more realistic. For example, they do save some one-on-ones, but they do concede from the one-on-ones. It's not like in FIFA you needed to chip the goalie or something like that because you couldn't score with a regular shot in a one-on-one. Usually.
Yeah.
So obviously the beta version doesn't mean that it's going to be like that in the final version of the game. But I do think that if it's relatively the same, it's going to be an improvement. Still a FIFA game, still not as realistic as PES, but I think it's a better game than FIFA 23. Not by a landslide, a lot, but it's a better game. Now the menus are the same.
Yep.
Obviously, some graphics have changed, but same choices in seasons, the caps, etc. In food, some minor changes. I think the women's teams are gonna be playing more of a role this year. So yeah, I think it's not a significantly different game, but it's improved in these few key areas that it's essentially it's an improved version of FIFA 23.
Yeah, because one thing I really liked about FIFA 23 compared to especially eFootball is the finishing, because I can't actually remember how it was on PES, but I have like a feeling that if you were aiming more or less towards the goalie, it would be no chance of the ball like passing the goalie on PES and in eFootball. But the thing in FIFA is the ball can actually go like under his arm, or it can like find the hole, and it looks pretty realistic, like mostly realistic it looks. And it actually adds so much to the game that you're actually able to like finish like 5-0 between the legs. You can finish near post a lot of the times. It's actually possible to score a near post shot, which I'm pretty sure especially in eFootball, I would only do far post curlers because that was the only way to score. If you put the ball anywhere near the goalie, it will be no chance at the ball going through. There wasn't like an animation for it in the game. But as you were saying, I remember you were talking about it, that it's actually possible to score like one-on-ones by shooting pretty close to the goalie, and it's gonna go like over his shoulder or like right by the leg. You know what I mean? It's like, and that adds so much, like the ability of actually doing that. Of course, it's gonna be up to the AI, to the script, to decide if the ball actually hits him or not. But like visually, that this is possible, like visually in the game, looking at on replays and stuff like that, is gonna. I totally like it. I think it's a good thing.
Also, by the way, I might say that because in the beta version there were only a few players playing the game in PS4 in the world, the matchmaking restrictions did not apply. Okay. So I started by picking up some 3.5-star teams, and I would get matched with 5-star teams.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So I had to make it a little bit more competitive. I had to play with 5 stars. So obviously, when you have Mbappe up front, you're gonna score the one-on-one. If you have like 3.5-star attacker, you might miss that. So, but yeah, like so it doesn't mean that I saw an improved gameplay, but also to be fair, I didn't play with weaker teams because I think that's where the games show their strength, in the weaker teams. I think that's why PES was the best of the three, of eFootball and FIFA, because you could play with even the worst team in the game, Livorno, and you could, if you would adjust your game style to their strengths and weaknesses, mostly weaknesses, you could play in a decent way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think PES is way more realistic there, because if you watch like any top league and you take the top team against any of like the lower rated teams, it's gonna be like 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, 4-1, like it was in PES, like normally. But if you do that in FIFA, it's gonna be like double digits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and I think that's also the reason why seasons is the way it is. that it's only like level matchmaking most of the time, because you can't do anything with a 3.5-star team against a 5-star team unless you are extremely good, and even then I don't think you are gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be a sweat to actually do that. So but one question I had, did you get any penalties? Because there's a new penalty thing in EAFC. You can aim at, I think it is with the goalie. You can decide instead of 3 options, like staying still, going left and right, you have 5 options in EAFC. You can go top corner either side, or you can go bottom corner either side, or you can stand still. Did you have any penalties against you?
Against me, I had not a lot, but I to be honest, I didn't notice a huge difference. But I wasn't paying attention. I guess if I knew that there was this change, I would have paid attention.
I see. Because I think
so
the difference is because I think the difference is, like, right now, if you send your goalie the way the shot is placed, it's gonna be very script based if he's gonna save it or not, regardless of like the height of it, I guess. But with the new stuff, you can actually I'm not sure how it looks, but if you guess like bottom corner, it's gonna do an animation that improves the probability of saving that. But if you're the shooting player, you can basically get away with shooting at the same corner if the goalie is going high or low, like the opposite of you. If that makes sense? I think it adds a little bit more to the entire thing. And one thing I would like to see is also like deflected shots on penalties that go into the goal. Do you know what I mean? It's like, of course, that's going to be super random and scripty and everything, if it actually hits off his chin and goes in or not. But it would be cool to see that kind of. Also on shots in general, I feel like there's very little like off the goalie deflection goals in FIFA. Like if you do like a super hard shot and it would bounce off the goalie into the ground and into the net, that would be cool to see, because that happens in real life, depending on what kind of shot. But I guess that would be too. People complain. There are people playing FIFA who feel like if you're able to get a clear shot, you should score 100% of the time. And that's the gameplay mentality, I guess, because it's like if you play COD or whatever, if you get a clean shot, of course you're gonna hit it because it's COD. But in football, they feel like if you get the angle, if you aim for far post, regardless of which player it is and which goalie it is, you should be able to score 100% of the time. And that's the mentality people have when they complain. So it's important to have that in mind. But I think, like, in terms of realism and stuff, like more random stuff like that would be really cool to have in the game, because it already has so many cool things, like in terms of animations. I really like the variety of animations in FIFA compared to eFootball. So having like more like deflections and stuff like that would be really cool, I think.
Okay, yeah. So I want to see how the game, because I think I might be wrong on that, but I think they've said that EA 25 is gonna be EAFC 25 is gonna be next gen only.
Okay.
So
it kind of makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, and I want to see how improved the game is gonna be, and I think that it's gonna be I think that's gonna be interesting to see that. The one thing that is a problem when we talk about how FIFA should or EAFC should improve is that it doesn't have a competition. because regardless of how someone feels about eFootball, the stats and the math is there, right? Not a lot of people are playing the game, and a lot of people are playing FIFA. So where is the incentive of EA to do the things that you are saying and improve the game if it's a walk in the park? As you noted before, FIFA 23 sold the most copies of a FIFA game, right? Or something like that. So that's one thing. On the other hand, Konami, although they're like far second, they do make a profit because of how the game is structured. It's a free-to-play game. They obviously don't employ a lot of people, a lot of programmers, and a lot of people are, paying for Dream Team. I think a lot of
I think Nicolas mentioned this on the Discord, that he was part of some groups and he could see that people, like dedicated eFootball guys, they were spending so much coins like every time there is a new promo.
And also mobile income.
Mobile.
From the mobile app downloads. But I think the thing that nobody is talking, because people want to compare FIFA and eFootball, and you see that especially with former PES YouTubers, content creators. They're trying to put in the same category eFootball and FIFA, and I don't agree with that, because eFootball is a game mode. You either like Dream Team, if you don't like it, or if you don't want to play online, or if you want to play with your girlfriend or spouse or friend, you can't do it, right? It has a lot of limitations. Yeah, it has an offline mode, but it's so bare bones that I don't consider it as one, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, FIFA, it has a lot of game modes. Yeah, they might have bugs. Yeah, they might not be great. Yeah, a lot of people might not enjoy Volta, but it has a lot of game modes, right? So if you want to play that, you can play that. So that's one thing. The other thing, and that's why you don't see the same amount of professional tournaments in eFootball, the same number as in FIFA, is what I've said from day one. My biggest issue with eFootball, it's not its gameplay, right? Because that's subjective. I might like it, somebody else might not like it. My biggest problem is that it doesn't have a consistent learning curve. You might be a top player like Kepa or Roxa, and you might end up in a crazy game in eFootball, a crazy match, where you face a way worse opponent, and because all hell breaks loose, you're not able to win. In FIFA, if you are one of these pro players and you play against casuals like us, no matter the script, no matter what, they're gonna win. And I faced recently. I faced one of these guys, and I couldn't beat him. It was like I could feel that. No matter the script, no matter what happens, no matter the momentum, he would score. He would find the ways, right? Because there is a very consistent way of playing the game. In eFootball, we have all experienced that you might win against a D1 very good opponent, and then next game something happens and you lose from a D5 guy.
I actually experienced that this weekend league, actually. I started with 8 wins in the first 10 matches. Then in the 11th match, I faced a guy that was so freaking good. I tried, at least for half of the match, I tried as much as I could, but I ended up losing 11-0, a clean loss. I mean, everything he did was so
calculated.
Calculated. It's like he receives the ball and he does a skill move, and he does it because he knows there's some kind of mechanic. When he does the skill move, it does something to the defenders. So he gets the ball, does the skill move, runs into the same open space every time. He does like 2 passes, bam, bam, goal. And I'm trying to... He's doing all that while I'm trying just to player switch.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, who the hell is this guy? And how could I actually win? I won 8 out of 10 playing the same way I did against him. And I start thinking, like, how good is this guy really? Like, he has to be so much better. He has to see the game in another way than we do. It's like the way he decides to play the game. And he didn't play glitchy at all or nothing like that. He actually did skill moves, passes, and timed finishing. And defended properly. I mean, and I had no chance. But I totally agree with you. In eFootball, it seems like I think in eFootball, the good players, they actually try to take advantage of the scripting. While in FIFA, you rely more on your skills. But it seems like eFootball is so random. You just do the same passing patterns every time, same kind of formation, same kind of mechanic inside the box. If it's double touch or whatever it is, double touch, pass, boom, goal. It's like, and there's not a lot of stuff you can do to actually create a chance. You try to follow the pattern, and if it works, it's because the scripting allows you to get that finish on goal. But basically, if you're a pro player, you learn like the passing patterns you need to do to maybe get the chance. And if you get it, you score. If you don't score, you just have to defend and at least avoid conceding goals, so you have a chance while staying in the game. So it's basically, I don't know. I feel like it's not that fun to play, not that fun to watch either. I'm not saying FIFA gameplay is like the best thing to watch either, but once you realize how FIFA gameplay is, watching it is actually a little bit more enjoyable because you realize what's a skill and what's not, what's a good thing and what's a random thing. And you realize like, and you can see like the body language of the pro players themselves. They realize when they did a mistake and when some random shit just happened. And you can see them laugh a little bit. And you recognize the situation, so you also understand what actually happened right now. It's like a relatable thing. It's more relatable. eFootball is very little relatability, to be honest.
Exactly. On this point, I've watched you play PES. I've watched you play football. I've watched you play FIFA. The only videos that I would, regardless of if it was like live stream or recorded, that I would put in the background and not watch the actual video. I would like probably participate by listening to what you're saying. And, if you're saying, oh, that's a City goal, I would go and watch it, or you know what I mean? But I wasn't watching the actual gameplay where the eFootball games. And there is a reason about that. Because in PES, because I was trying to improve my gameplay, I wanted to watch your games and try to see what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, what your opponents are doing right and what they're doing wrong. Same with FIFA, right? Because as I said earlier, it's a consistent way of playing. If you learn how to play it, you're gonna improve. In eFootball, because as you said, it's so random and you gotta take advantage of very specific glitches and scripts that happen during the game that the pros, obviously, because they've played like thousands of games, they can see, right?
Yeah.
Even if I watch one of your games, I'm not gonna think of what to do, what to improve, because the game that you just played is very specific. It doesn't mean that if I play, it's going to happen the same way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And which leads to a grievance that I have when I see all these if football content creators. I'm not gonna name names, but like the most well-known ones, when they're doing these reviews about eFootball version 2.8 or something, and they're doing a review. And I watch the video because I'm curious. So is the game is better?
Yeah.
What are they gonna say?
Mm.
What they do is they play either an offline game in a slower pace, and not even in the hardest AI, when you know that shit is gonna be real and a lot of script is gonna happen, or because as we all know in eFootball, when it resets, you start in Division 7 or 8 or whatever, they play these games.
Yeah.
To be honest, these games are good in eFootball. If you play without script and without the randomness and without tryhards and stuff like that, yeah, you might enjoy the game, right? But you cannot judge a game in these games. You should judge it's like playing FIFA and not in foot, right? Or not in high divisions. Yeah, it's gonna be enjoyable, but is the game enjoyable when you go and face this D1 guy that spams the balls up front and does the same OP move for Lewandowski to take the header? Is that enjoyable? You need to play a few of these games to review the game.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I think what you said right there is very interesting, because the impression I have about scripting in eFootball is that in eFootball, if you have two very similar players, let's say it's two similar players, but one team has scripting with, let's say you have script advantage against a similar level player. The game is great. It's nothing better than having script advantage in that kind of match. Maybe you don't even notice you have script advantage. So you like the gameplay feels really good. You feel like you're actually mastering the game. But when you are the other guy, when you have script disadvantage, I think it's way more difficult and almost impossible to counteract that on eFootball compared to on FIFA, because there is script advantage there as well. But I feel like it's easier to combat the script disadvantage on FIFA because of the way things work with the skill moves. If you're very good and prolific at skill moves, you can, first of all, you can actually go around defenders. I feel like that's almost impossible in eFootball because of the way dribbling and stuff at least worked there in the earlier versions. I know that dribbling and stuff is better now. Everyone says like dribbling is almost too OP right now in the last versions, but at least back then, so difficult to dribble players unless you do like some kind of like double touch or whatever. And regarding double touch, I've realized one thing: if there's one glitchy move in eFootball and in PES, it was the double touch. Like how much of an advantage I had using that when I played. It's almost like a cheat code pretty much, and you see Mednasa is using it all the time. He has built like his entire playstyle on doing 5 double touches in a row with Neymar. But if you look at the games like and compare them in terms of like the scripting and the effect the scripting has on the games, I feel like the amount of scripting in eFootball is unbearable. It doesn't make it any fun unless you have script advantage. While in eFootball, while in FIFA, I think it's more balanced, like more skill based, as we've already said before. Even though there is script, maybe it's even more recognizable in FIFA. I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are about this.
Yeah, I think it's I would say
easier to identify, and you can actually like almost have a more relaxed feeling about it, because you know this happens in FIFA and it happens when this happens, and now I have to do this thing.
It's more consistent. It's a more consistent script. Like you see things, you see patterns. You recognize the patterns. Okay, you know, my defender passed the ball to the opponent while it was an easy pass. Okay, that's a pattern. We've got script. In eFootball, it's not like that. It's more random. You understand it by the result, by you losing to a D5 player. You don't know what's going on, but you see it, you know, like after it happens. For example, it might be that you have a tall defender and a short striker out headers them, right? But this is random. This happens in that game and you lose. It's not a pattern that you can recognize before the cross happened, if that makes sense. So I think that's the key point right there, that these reviews portray eFootball in a different way than reality, because again, they play offline games. Yeah, it might be better than offline FIFA, right? But it's an only online game, so you cannot judge it. And also D5, because usually the heavy script happens after D3 in eFootball. I remember when I used to, you know, go back and play a few eFootball games, and I would start in the lower divisions. I would say, okay, that's a good game. Let's give it a chance. And when I would go D3, D2, then, you know, I would say, okay, this is not worth spend a lot of hours to try and find ways to cheat and find the glitches and do like OP moves and meta formations. You've seen what's his name, the Brazilian guy that does like this formation, which he puts like all of his players like that, and then it's like a T, like you know what I mean?
I haven't seen it, but sounds hilarious.
No, like Pesep that does these weird formations. It's like, you know, I don't want that. What I want is to be able to spend, you know, a certain amount of hours, but be able to understand how the game is played. If I need to spend 1 million hours just to find the glitches and the meta formation, it's not good for me. And this, to end up my point, I know for a fact that these eFootball content creators, they don't like this glitchy try-hard nature in D1 of eFootball. They've said it themselves. So, but on the other hand, you know, they're eFootball content creators and not FIFA content creators. So they gotta upload content for eFootball. But that's the problem. If you're not like Mendasa playing in D1 and you know, like, or in Dominator and be able to get the wins and enjoy the game, then what are you gonna upload in eFootball? Because it only has one game mode and one purpose: to go to D1 to get more money to make a more OP team. It's not like in I don't remember his name, but one of the most famous FIFA content creators, he doesn't even play online. He plays offline. The Manchester United supporter. He plays offline, right? That's his content. So he's still a FIFA content creator, and probably you have like a few online seasons creators like yourself and a couple of others. So you can't go around if you don't like food. Like I don't like food. I don't like the sweaty style of food, right? So I play another mode. Simple as that.
I think just to round out, since we are approaching 1 hour, I have two more points. I just want to guess it ties back to what I was saying in the beginning regarding foot. my experience playing it for 1 year, like in FIFA 23, because I played it on and off. And I think that's the best way to enjoy it. Like, if you would have started playing foot, I think that's the way you would probably enjoyed it as well. Like, playing it every now and then and mixing with a little bit of seasons. Because if you play foot all the time, what happens, and I learned this by experience, is you get into like the grind mindset of playing in the menus. You actually don't play matches. Because you get into this like repetitive behavior where you start doing these SBCs, which are basically you trade your cards for a pack, right? You get into this pattern where you do these SBCs, so you get new packs. It's like the chance of having like a tiny chance of having like a big player coming out in the pack. It's like the incentive you have in the back of your mind to do this pack. And you also think like, it only requires me to spend maybe like 3 minutes doing it. But of course, when you do it so many times and so repetitively, it adds up, it accumulates, and you spend a lot of time just grinding packs, grinding menus. But I think that's the thing that keeps people hooked into that game mode, is this behavior. And it didn't help me anything. You know what I mean? Like skill-wise, like through the year, I was at the same level pretty much in terms of wins in Weekend League. It didn't matter all that much that I got like a couple of OP cards. But I don't think people, either they don't realize that, or they haven't experienced it yet by themselves. So they are in this like continuous grind, almost addictive mindset that they have to do packs all the time. They have to get like the best team. They have to get the newest promo cards. And that's the reason why that game mode is so popular. But it gets really repetitive real quick. You only have to play like maybe 1 week every couple of months, and you will be able to catch up a lot during that week, because you're able to do you'll be able to open packs, you will be able to participate in the market, so you get some coins in, you can buy a lot of these promo cards. After 1 or 2 weeks, their value just plummets, except for that set of like elite cards that's gonna cost so much, and it's not gonna give you anything specifically to get those, because it really depends on your own playing level. But you can really enjoy the game a lot by just playing every now and then, pretty much. And I'm pretty sure you're a Division 1 seasons player, you're gonna win like half of the matches in Weekend League. It's not gonna be a problem. And you can maybe have the chance to play with some like Ronaldinho and these cards that are fun to play with, that you're not able to use in seasons. But before we round up, I just want to ask you one question. Like, have you thought about, like, if you would name one team that you have to try in seasons, which is like the first team you're gonna play with, other than Marseille?
No, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna try Marseille. Let me think. Obviously, because again, I think that I didn't mention on beta. Obviously, most of the teams had their last year's rosters, so I couldn't check, and the ratings were the same as last year's.
Yeah.
So based on real life, that's a good question. I definitely want to try some of the Saudi Arabian teams.
Yeah.
Just to see, whether this imbalance of offense and defense, you can work with that in FIFA. I want to try Brighton. I want to see if they've translated Brighton's real life access in FIFA, right?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Because last year, I haven't played with Brighton. I think you did, right? But I don't think that they were as good in FIFA as they were in real life. So I want to see, can you actually play some nice football with them like they do in real life?
They have some. I mean,
so I would say I would go with Brighton.
I think they have, especially with Ansu Fati in the squad. I think people are gonna try to take advantage of having like Mitoma, Ansu Fati. Can't remember all the other guys they have, but they have some good players. You can definitely play some good football with them, I think.
And another team would have to be Galatasaray because on paper they look great. I want to see
the Saudi teams, like a couple of like Galatasaray, Fenerbahce have done some transfers. I'm not sure what Besiktas have done, but I don't think they've done that much, to be honest. But Turkish teams, Saudi teams, there's a lot of transfers in maybe like the German teams as well. I think we forget a little bit about the German teams because it wasn't available in PES. But there is a lot of like Union Berlin, maybe they have Bonucci, and they have these speedy strikers like Fofana, Becker. Should be pretty good, I think. If you think like speed and dribble, I think having like Fofana and Becker is gonna be a good mix. They also have Gosens, I think, on the left side.
And actually, for a five-star team, might be the case that PSG is gonna be more balanced and like not that OP. So it might be interesting to use this year's PSG.
I mean, so they still could be pretty OP actually. They have Dembele, which is, at least in foot, he was one of like the super OP cards. You have Mbappe, you have Dembele, and then it depends like how they rate Ramos,
Asensio,
and Asensio they have, and in defense.
No, Ramos went to Sevilla, right?
No, I mean.
Oh, you mean Gonzalo? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the team is still pretty strong, but I guess when we compare them to like Neymar and Messi in terms of FIFA, I don't think they are comparable. Maybe Dembele is a little bit comparable actually to Neymar. I don't know. But I think Barcelona could be pretty fun to try out with Joao Felix. What else did they do? They didn't do all that much. They got that
Cancelo.
In midfield. Yeah, Cancelo. Oriol Romeo is the big new center midfielder. I don't know. I think it's gonna be easy to just find another formation where you don't have to use Oriol Romeo on your team. Probably.
I'm just waiting also for your tactical video on Manchester United and on Chelsea, on these kind of underperforming teams. On Marseille, we've had like the manager resigning. So I want to see you try to salvage their tactics and, like say, maybe you can find a better tactic than the real life counterparts. So this is going to be interesting. So are you going to start uploading since you get like the early access, or what's the plan?
I want to post as much content as possible. I think now's the time to try to take advantage of the game launch and everything. So I'm gonna do what I can to post consistently from Ultimate Team. But doing like specific team tactics definitely has potential to get some reach as well. Also being like start of the cycle, fresh squads and everything, people are gonna at least the part of the community that likes to play seasons and likes to play like career mode, they're gonna probably look to that kind of content, to get some input on how to play with them, set up their tactics and everything. But I mean, Chelsea, why not? They have Nkunku. I guess there are no injuries in seasons, so you can use their entire team. I mean, on paper, Chelsea are good. It's just in real life
they're struggling. Yeah. Okay, so I'll wait impatiently for your first EAFC video. That's gonna be nice. I'm excited for that. Thanks for our conversation. I think that we touched upon a few points that you don't see these points coming a lot on YouTube videos. So let's hope for the best. Let's hope that EAFC is going to be even better than the beta that I played, and that if football catches up in the future and they release a couple of more game modes and we have a better situation in football gaming that we have right now, because overall it's not great. Let's put it that way. In comparison to a few years before. So
I think football gaming is in need of some kind of evolution, like some revolution. Or something has to happen, some kind of a new tech or something. I'm not saying VR or something like that, but like there has to be some kind of innovation, I think, to spark like football gaming again. Otherwise, they're just going to keep doing it the same way they have been doing it now. Like one thing I should mention though that is building a lot of hype on EAFC is the thing called Evolutions in Ultimate Team, which is pretty much the progression training from eFootball, where you can get the basic card and you can train them by completing objectives. You can pretty much you can upgrade your basic cards basically, and a lot of people are really excited about that, and definitely I think it could be interesting to add another thing to Ultimate Team to spend time on.
And this is quite related to the skills, because if you say like, okay, I've got this striker and if he scores 3 goals he gets the objective, so he improves. That's connected to your skills. So which is a good thing. Okay.
That's gonna be interesting. But great chat, bro. So
thanks a lot.
I guess we can do these like every now and then about different topics.
Next time we can do we can do like first impressions of EAFC 24 after we play it for a couple of weeks and we get like a good sense of it. Maybe we can do a sort of a review on the game.
Sounds good, bro. Okay,
good night, see you soon.
Good night, see you soon, bro.
Bye
bye.